The new colored illustration for Volume 3 of the third year arc is finally released, and there are a lot of things that simply feel tickling, to the point we should be worried about the content of the next volume. For starters, the cover characters for the new volume are Ichinose Honami and Shina Hiyori, a combination that you never expected to see. While it's a good thing they didn't introduce a new male character just to put him on the cover, the combination of Ichinose and Hiyori is not something that we should be happy about. Because following the development of the previous volume, the relationship between Ichinose and Hiyori is not exactly friendly. Even though they almost never have screen time together, it wouldn't be strange if Ichinose will have a mix of hatred and jealousy toward Hiyori. If we look closely at the cover, you will realize that Ichinose has her eyes on Hiyori. This pose of Ichinose is similar to her illustration in Volume 9 second year arc, where she finally turns Yandere mode and declares that something will happen between her and Ayanokoji. With her not-so-friendly smile and the way she tilted her head, it wouldn't be a surprise that this volume will be the beginning of a lifelong battle between Ichinose and Hiyori. The cover volume usually doesn't mean anything, so Ichinose pose probably holds no significant meaning. However, the colored illustration of Ichinose seems to support the chaotic option. The colored illustration showed Ichinose holding a tablet with both of her hands. She is smiling, but her eyes seem to be dying. There is a smell of sadness around her, but her smile could also be seen as that of the evil queen who is secretly planning the worst for Snow White. That kind of scenario should be impossible for the old Ichinose, but for the new and upgraded version of her, nothing seems impossible when it comes to love. There are a few other things that need to be noted about their illustration. For example, both Ichinose and Hiyori's illustrations don't show them with a wristwatch. There is a chance that these illustrations take place before the exam begins, and the wristwatch is not yet distributed. But based on the previous two island exams, the wristwatch should be distributed even before the students set foot on the island, so the absence of the wristwatch probably means something more. Back in Volume 4.5 second year arc, Hoshinomiya mentioned that there were a lot of broken wristwatches during the uninhabited island exam, and the school suspects that the students intentionally broke their watches to avoid supervision. If they learn it from that case, then it's possible that the new island exam wouldn't require the students to use the wristwatch, but they will be supervised with a different method. If that's really the case, then it will be possible that this new exam will be completely different compared to the first and second years. From Ichinose illustration, we know that the students will require a tablet, so at least this exam is more advanced compared to the first year, but sadly we cannot figure anything more just from these illustrations. However, we can make a guess that this volume will heavily revolve around Ichinose and Hiyori, and since Horikita took the third spot for colored illustration, it seems we will not getting any first and second year students in this exam. Not including at least Ishigami or Tsubasa is indeed not promising from the plot point of view, but at least we should expect a hot moment between Ichinose and Hiyori, and we should wait to see which one Ayanokoji will choose between them. And now let's see what Horikita is doing in the last illustration. Horikita's illustration is by far the most interesting because this is the first time we saw her with that kind of expression. Her expression gives a similar feeling to Ichika, with a mix of mischief and naughtiness that feels weird on her face. The background seems blurry, so it's impossible to know the context of her expression, but we could always take a guess on what actually happened here. For starters, since this Horikita's illustration is the first-person point of view, it seems Horikita will finally have a reunion with Ayanokoji after their last meeting ended up with a lot of tension. Since they are currently in a hostile relationship, it feels weird that Horikita is smiling for Ayanokoji, so that smile must have some other meaning. And like Ichinose, Horikita's smile contained a sense of confidence, or maybe some kind of pride that made me think Horikita finally believed she was able to outsmart Ayanokoji, or confidence that she could finally win against him. I know that doesn't sound plausible, but after taking a lot of losses, Horikita wouldn't suddenly grow confidence just because of a 1 or 2 point difference, so there must be something else that made her smile full of pride. Another thing that I could think of is that Horikita finally figured out what Ayanokoji is hoping from her. She finally figured out why Ayanokoji transferred class and what exactly he is hoping from them. That could explain why Horikita is able to smile at Ayanokoji, and also explain why her smile is full of pride, because she finally knows how highly Ayanokoji thinks of her. Of course it's just a possibility, but sooner or later Horikita will definitely learn about it. In conclusion, I like how all these girls are smiling in their illustration, but all of them have a different meaning in their smile. However, I dislike how these illustrations barely give us anything to hype up the next volume. All three illustrations feel like simple fan service, but it is also possible that they didn't put anything in the illustrations to avoid spoiling the readers for something big that will happen at the end of this volume. No matter which one it is, let's just hope the new volume will finally bring Classroom Elite back to its peak.